In 1914, the menace of World War I called for the commitment of young men from small towns and cities all across the world. A trio of young volunteers from Winnipeg's Pine Street are remembered on what is now known as Valour Road. In 1914, Winnipeg was a bustling city. The grain and transportation trades were growing, and the real estate market was booming. The city had so much to offer to those who dreamed of a prosperous future in a friendly and safe community. However, the storm brewing in Europe altered the lives of many of Winnipeg's finest young men, who answered the call to arms and chose to serve their country. Frederick William Hall was born in Belfast, Ireland in 1885. His family immigrated to Winnipeg to begin a new life. Hall enlisted in the Royal Winnipeg Rifles in 1914 at the age of 29. On the Western Front, Sergeant Major Hall and his company found themselves pinned down in the trenches by fierce enemy fire during the Battle of Ypres. Twice during the night, Hall went out to rescue injured comrades. Then, after a failed attempt at another rescue, which left two of his friends injured, Hall ventured out once more, alone. Crawling across the field under constant bombardment, Hall reached the wounded soldier and began moving him back towards the trench. Sadly, he was killed as he neared the end of his courageous journey. Corporal Leo Clark was born in Hamilton in 1892. Corporal Clark and his brother Charlie served together in Winnipeg's 2nd Battalion. Together, the brothers experienced one of the bloodiest military operations ever recorded, the Battle of the Somme. As recounted by Charlie's son Leo, who is named for his heroic uncle, both brothers were tasked with clearing a trench on September 9, 1916.
Dad took a group of men and he went to the right, and Leo took a group and went to the left. Dad didn't run into too much opposition, but Leo ran into quite a bit.
All of Leo's group had been killed except for one sergeant. Corporal Clark was virtually alone, under attack by 20 enemy soldiers. He was out of grenades, but rather than surrender, Clark confronted the advancing forces. He emptied his revolver twice, and then began firing with first one, and then a second German rifle he picked up off the ground. In the struggle that followed, a German officer bayoneted him in the knee before Leo Clark could shoot him. Wounded and bleeding, Clark kept up the attack, and as enemy soldiers fled, Clark followed, killing 4 more and taking a prisoner. Though he was ordered to hospital, this heroic young man returned to battle the next day. Corporal Leo Clark continued to serve until his death a month and a half later on the battlefields of France. He was awarded the Victoria Cross on October 26, 1916. Robert Shankland was born on October 10, 1887, in Ayr, Scotland. At the Battle of Passchendaele on October 26, 1916, Lieutenant Robert Shankland led his men to a forward position, which they held during a fierce counterattack. Knowing that an accurate description of his company's position was critical to the Allied battle plan, Shankland made his way alone through the battlefield to battalion headquarters and delivered his valuable report as to the position of the brigade frontage. Then, he made his way back and rejoined his command until he was relieved. The citation of his Victoria Cross commends his personal courage, gallantry, and skill, and emphasizes the example he set for the men under his command. Of the 3 Victoria Cross recipients from Winnipeg's Pine Street, only Shankland survived the war. Shankland was 30 years old when he served in World War I. He went on to serve in World War II, retiring with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. 69 Canadian soldiers earned the Victoria Cross in World War I, and by coincidence, 3 of them lived on the same street, Pine Street in Winnipeg. Pine Street was renamed Valour Road in honor of these gallant young men. The loss of life throughout the war was felt all across the world. It's understanding and awareness of young men like the Pine Street Boys that helps us to appreciate the sacrifice that they made for freedom and democracy. Their story is remembered through tributes like Valour Road. For Street Tales, I'm Denise Mayer.